Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome to 3D modeling in Blender. So today is Saturday, so we're going to be sculpting, and as always, first let me promote this. Let me promote this stream. Okay, so always welcome, hello, and welcome. So how are you? So today I'm going to sculpt. So let me copy this. So I need a 3D bowl for a ring. So remember I published the lion a couple of days ago. The lion was made with curves mostly. But here I have the bull, and because I have an image, I'm going to, well, this is already done from displacement from the image, but I need sculpting. And, well, today's stream is about sculpting in Blender, or sculpting in action, let's say. Okay, let me promote this. So welcome to the stream. I hope you are having a nice day. Okay, it's never very easy to accommodate. Okay, so make yourself comfortable and let me promote the stream live now here. Live now. Okay, so new image. Okay, so a couple of minutes I will be just waiting for people to arrive to the chat. Hello everybody. And today we'll be live now, 3D sculpting in Blender. Here, what's the, okay, so 3D sculpting right there. Okay, and what's the stream? Okay, so obviously be a bit patient. I will be starting in a couple of minutes, like in 3 or 5 minutes for now. Just let people get to the stream, and let me share the stream. Here we are. This, let's turn this on to Activaro. Okay, that's the link to the feed live stream. Now, here we are. Here now, let's go to Facebook and Twitter. Who uses Twitter? I mean, come on, but whatever. Still a lot of people using social media. All right, where's the title here? So for people just joining the stream, I will be starting in a couple of minutes. Okay, and so obviously don't expect things to start right now. I'm promoting the stream first. Let me just publish here and there. Okay, We'll be starting in a couple of minutes, anytime soon, very soon. I'm just publishing. You know, we need to promote. So obviously, because I don't have an assistant, actually, I should hire an assistant by now, a PR assistant. Okay, here. Well, I must promote the live stream myself. So obviously I need to do this now because it's starting now. Because I see people coming to the stream and leaving. Well, don't leave. This is going to start. I am going to make 3D sculpting because as you might know, I never use clickbait. I don't use clickbait. I do what I say I do. So today we're going to do sculpting in Blender. But obviously I am, see here, it's connected. Everything's connected. So just be patient. Just a couple of minutes, just like 2 minutes now. Who's writing to me? Here, here. Where is, this is done, this is done. I think we're done. Okay, let's put it here in the Blender 3D group. Here we are. And okay, great. So I'm done here, I'm done there. This is done. And this is done. All right. So I'm about to start. So welcome to the 3D sculpting in Blender. So obviously today I'm going to use this baby. This baby is a Wacom Intuos Pro medium size. This is the pen from Wacom. So Wacom is still the best brand. They invented the tablet. All right. So obviously you should know that there are new ones like Huion. They're cheaper. All the other brands are cheaper than Wacom. You should know that. But Wacom is still the best, the most reliable quality tablet that you can get. And for decades, I've sculpted using the mouse, a very normal mouse. So I was already doing sculpting. When I started to become a professional 3D modeler, that started like, well, to be my everyday job. That was almost 3 years ago now. I had to buy a tablet. So I checked the brands and Wacom is still the best one. So anyway, let's go to sculpting. So I need to make this. So what's going on? This bull here is a 3D displacement from an image, but the client wants a better detailed 3D model. This is not enough for my client, okay? So what I need to do is sculpt because, and actually we can see the image. Sculpting is totally necessary. Without sculpting, you won't get very far in the 3D world. Well, obviously it depends what you do. If you do only CAD and technical things, you won't have to sculpt. Okay, here, let's go to dynamic topology. Let's turn it on. Okay, 2 pixels, this is good. Don't forget to save. And let me make this a bit smaller. And always check some reference images before anything. Okay, so let's start sculpting. I have like 2 hours to make the job. So I already have pretty nice volumes. but we're going to make a stronger contrast in the volumes. Okay. So it's always important to study your, well, the thing that you're going to model, you really should have many, let's say 10, 20 reference images if you have the time. So today I don't have the time, so obviously I am going to be a bit creative, and that's not always a good way to go, because when you don't have enough reference images, you're going to invent and create things that are not necessarily like that. So generally it's better to study before. So you're going to spend more time preparing your sculpting project by searching reference images. All right. But then you'll sculpt better and you'll sculpt faster. And if not faster, at least better. So, but here the client wants something impressive. That I know this client, and he wants something more impressive than accurate. So if the bones and the muscles are not correct, they won't really mind much. Only thing that he really cares about, well, this is this client. You should know your client first also. If you can't, sometimes you can't know the client. You don't exactly know what he wishes. Okay, so that's obviously a problem. But when you know the client, and this client, I know this client. And what they want, because they're jewelers, and this is for a gold ring, what he wants is something impressive. So I need to make a lot of details, but I don't need to make a lot of biological accuracy. And so that's why I can work pretty fast, or even a lot faster than other projects. Some clients want a lot of accuracy in the models. They're more expensive, by the way. It's more work. Well, or even sometimes this client, he wants more accurate designs. But here they want something impressive in the stance of the bull. And this object is for 3D printing, but it's going to be not a full body 3D object. It's just a flat, well, a half flat, so like a high relief, like an engraving with a lot of volume. So it's a 2.5 sculpt. And they're harder, generally they're harder to do than 3D sculpts, because we need to reach like a 3D effect, a very strong 3D effect, without having the full body, the 3D body of the object. And that's pretty harder. It's generally harder than sculpting like a full body character. And also because you don't have any kind of symmetry. So you must sculpt all the details. And this is a lot of work. So obviously, at first, you're going to be very slow, very, very slow. And you're going to make a lot of mistakes sculpting. You are going to be scared. Generally, we are scared when starting to sculpt because so many things can go wrong. And then we're going to work against ourselves. And the tools are going to start working against ourselves. And we're going to be mad. Sculpting can be very unnerving. You need a lot of patience, a lot of precision, and you need a cold-headed person. You need to be you need to control yourself a lot when sculpting. So obviously, you should, like I said, you should spend more time at the beginning preparing what you're going to do, knowing exactly what you need to achieve what needs to be done. Because in fact, the power, the freedom of sculpting is so vast. You can do anything sculpting, anything. From cars to people to animals to jewels. That if you don't know exactly what you're aiming for, you're going to get very frustrated and you're going to hate sculpting before really getting good at sculpting. Okay. Now here, something important. Let me go back to layout. There's this problem I'm having. Okay, it's starting to look already better. So like I said, we have an image that I displaced to create the volume, the 2.5 sculpt, but we need details. Something very important before sculpting is checking that the scale, and here I know that something was wrong with the scale because the brush was not staying in a circle shape. So obviously I need to do a Control A, apply, scale. Now let's go back to sculpting. Let's keep the dynamic topology turned on and let's keep working. It's going to be a bit more responsive. But it was giving the sculpt. Okay, so here now you can see the cursor of the brush is a perfect circle now, and it's staying like that. When you don't have the scale at 1, what's going to happen is that the brush is not going to stay in the round shape. It's going to become elliptical. And if you watched the stream earlier, you could see that the brush was getting an elliptic shape. So these are very, very small details about the shape of the brush. That blue circle is the brush in Blender. You might not know that. So obviously the sculpting tools in Blender are getting better and better every day. Actually now the vector displacement is available in Blender starting last week. I want to make a video about that, but I need to make my own vector displacement brush. Well, there's one available in the demonstration file. Okay, so we're going to sculpt. So, and also just so you know, to learn sculpting, it's very good, and that's why I'm making this stream. So now I'm really working. This is not just a tutorial. It's also that I had so much work this week that I'm late on some jobs. This work had to be done on Thursday, and today it's already Saturday, but well, the client himself gave me a more urgent work to do. So we postponed the sculpting of the bull, but it must be done by Monday. And because today's Saturday and I want to go see and meet a friend, I'm going to be in another live stream on another channel making jewelry in Blender, I guess. I still don't even know yet. Okay, so I need this to be done like yesterday. All right. So I'm really working like, and well, because I have a new camera setup, because I bought, if you're following the channel, I just bought an EOS Canon camera, 50 MK2, and I have a new video capture card in full HD. It's not 4K. The stream is in 4K, 60 FPS, but the camera is in full HD, 30 FPS. But actually, I'm very happy with the setup because I have a better camera. Hello there. And now I have the camera connected to the AC connection, and I can stream with the camera turned on for the entire stream. Okay. All right, what else? So sculpting requires a lot of control of your character, because when everything is going well, you're going to have a lot of fun sculpting. Honestly, it is a lot of fun to sculpt. It's a very nice job, and actually 3D sculpting will get you the best, some of the best jobs in the industry are for 3D sculptors. 3D sculpting is generally pretty well paid. Well, actually, I don't know. I know that I'm pretty well paid, actually, because I do a lot of very hard modelings. This one is not very hard, but I've been asked and succeeded in making very complex characters for jewelers. And this is again very specific. Today I'm making a 2.5 sculpting. So like I was explaining at the beginning, this is not a full body object. And if you're not used to doing this, this is for a ring, this is for a crest ring. It's harder to make than a full body object. Because like I was explaining at the beginning, I need to achieve the entire 3D effect for this bull without the amount of thickness of a full 3D body object. And some of the best examples of 2.5 sculpting through history, actually I'm going to explain that because it's always interesting to know your history. Greek 2.5, let's see if I can 2.5 sculpting. So the Greeks, the Greek temples, let's see if we have some no, these are not 2.5 object, these are full sculptures. Okay, Greek Parthenon. Okay, so this is a temple. So the Greeks Okay, here we can't see much, but up there, right up there, well, this is very small, but I don't have time to find more. Okay, so up there in the Greek temples, you had sometimes full 3D sculpts, and some other times you had real decorations made as 2.5 sculptures. So this is the type of work that needs to be done here. And it's always very interesting seeing other people sculpt, because we all have different methods, different projects, and it's always nice. And that's why I said, because anyway, I need to get this job done before Monday. And I said I'm going to make a live stream of the sculpting session here, because I know that I learned a lot watching other people sculpting. It's always very nice to watch a sculptor do his job. And it's obviously not of the taste of everybody, but if you are going to do 3D sculptings, you should know that watching other people sculpting is always very instructive. So this bull is going to be part of a ring, like the same of the lion. Actually, the lion is right here. Now the lion was made with curves, but the bull is going to be made sculpting. So that's why today we are sculpting in Blender. Okay. And it's always very interesting to watch other people do their job. Into different methods. So by example, in many projects, I only use the smooth brush, adding and removing. So it's the first brush only, the draw brush, and with the shift key, with the control key, you can smooth. So, with the shift key, it's correct. With the shift key, you can smooth. And in my line of work, generally, it's almost the only tool that I need. And some people obviously are sad to learn that I'm only using one brush for sculpting things like animals. Sometimes I do use the elastic deform brush or the flatten brush, but it's not even necessary. Most of the time, I only need the smooth brush and the draw brush. Adding and removing, it's all, and smoothing. So obviously the difference is the dynamic topology, the zoom distance, and the artistic decisions, and also to use a Wacom tablet. So like I explained at the beginning, today I am using a Intuos Pro. It's a tablet I bought already a couple of years ago. It's one of the best inversions I made for my work, because I use it more often each year, and 3D sculpting is very well paid, generally around the world, pretty much around the world. So obviously it requires a lot of training. I remember at the beginning when I had to do portraits, 3D portraits of very famous Catholic saints, by example, St. Patrick, or very famous saints. I was really scared. That's something I explained at the beginning. Sculpting might be scary at the beginning. And it's important to stop judging your work too early on. You should just sculpt. Even if things are at the beginning, sculpting in the beginning is always a failure. You should know that. So if you judge your failures too much at the beginning, you're going to be missing a lot on learning. To sculpt, you should really stop judging yourself and just jump in the water. And also because too many people still think that you really need ZBrush to be a good 3D sculptor. It used to be true, but because they've started already almost 2 years ago or more, really working on the 3D sculpting tools in Blender, that now really sculpting in Blender is really competitive. You can be a very well-paid 3D modeler, 3D sculptor in Blender, and using only Blender, because the sculpting system in Blender has evolved already to a very professional level. And there are many tricks. Some people complain about the high poly meshes in Blender, and that Blender can't handle very heavy geometry, very heavy meshes. There are many tricks to avoid that, to the point that basically if you are having problems with very high geometry count in Blender, it's your fault. It's because you don't know how to make proper optimizations, and you're basically doing things in the wrong order, or you're trying to reach goals that are not necessarily important. Well, you're keeping too much geometry for bad reasons in the wrong parts of your mesh of your project, and much of your geometry can be optimized. So many people don't know how to optimize geometry, and they think it's because Blender can't handle heavy geometry. So it's true, Blender is not the best software at handling very high count geometry. That's true. It's technically true. They're trying to fix that. They might fix it someday. Okay, here I would like to change. Okay. So that's true. It's technically true. ZBrush is better with very high geometry, polygons, and meshes. But in Blender, we have a lot of freedom and options and modifiers to avoid that kind of useless, very high count geometry. There are solutions, but most people prefer to blame softwares instead of working with the software, and instead of knowing how it's done in another software. So obviously you can't just go on and sculpt non-stop in Blender. You are going to face, sooner or later, you are going to face too much polygons on your 3D model, and you will have to optimize your 3D model. But for example, on this bull, I'm planning to reach like maybe 5 million faces, and I won't have any problem during this session. Okay, so, and then 5 millions for an STL print is way too much. I will have to optimize my model. So you have the remesh modifier, and you have the decimate modifier that come very handy, and they're very efficient in Blender. The decimate modifier in Blender, I don't know who developed it. All my thanks and congratulations to the people who developed the decimation tool in Blender. They made a fantastic job at developing the decimating modifier in Blender. Okay, here. So don't be scared of sculpting, and also know that Blender is very good. It's very good for sculpting. So, and also because I teach a lot, I know from my students, because many students start, that's always the same question at the beginning. But is not ZBrush better? So yes, ZBrush has more tools and was developed very early on to be the most advanced sculpting software possible. Okay? So obviously, if you are in certain branches of the industry, you are going to need ZBrush. So it's depending a lot on what you're doing in what industry, right? But because I do animation, rendering, mesh modeling, sculpting, texture painting, even also geometry nodes, all of that, you're not going to find that much. Well, the thing is here that ZBrush is a sculpting software. Blender is like the Swiss knife of the 3D world. With Blender, you can do a lot of things. Now, from there, much people say that because of that, Blender is just good at too many things, but not good enough in too many things. So it can be true depending on what job you are competing at. Depends your occupation, depends your job, right? So you should know what you are going to compete against. Okay, there and there. Okay, the foot here. This is very important. These parts are very important for my characterization of this bull. Okay. So now it's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. But I think Blender is very good at many things. It's very fast and efficient at many things. And that's why I love using Blender for sculpting, because it has all the tools we need with alpha brushes. Now we even have the vector displacement brush. That's just amazing. And I don't even really need it. Many tools, I don't need them in my field. You know that the jewelry industry is very specific about the challenges that we generally face in our jobs as 3D designers, as jewelry 3D designers. Is the first one is precision. The first thing that you must be able to deliver in 3D jewelry models is precision. You need to be precise, very precise. We're not talking centimeters, not even millimeters. We're talking centesimal. It's 100 times less than 1 millimeter. Okay, that's the level of precision that we need in jewelry 3D models. So you should be very familiar with very small measurement units. And also because you should know that the 3D printing in the jewelry business is made at, nowadays, at 10 microns. 10 microns, 1 micron is a thousandth of a millimeter, okay? So the things that we do are very, very small and very, very precise. That's the first issue that you must be able to solve in your 3D models when making jewelry. Precision. A very high Bonjour. Bonjour. Alors attends. Yeah, about French. Okay, but alors bonjour. Oui. Il faudrait me donner un terme. Thanks. Okay, so yes, I will be doing streams in Spanish and I will be doing streams in French. And more than streams, I will be doing also a tutorial because I have more and more French fans following my work because I've made French tutorials these years because yes, I speak French. Actually, French is my main language. Oui, le français est ma langue natale d'ailleurs, oui. Ce qui est évidemment assez rigolo. Bien. Donc, yes, I will be doing streams in French, but the question is, donc la question est, oui, je vais faire un stream en français, mais ce que j'aimerais bien, c'est avoir un sujet. Donc, je suis ouvert aux propositions. D'idées. Enfin bon, je peux faire n'importe quoi, hein, aussi, mais justement, j'ai pas envie de faire n'importe quoi. C'est surtout ça. Ok. Alors, est-ce qu'on a assez de hauteur? Ah non. Bien. Donc, pour le stream en français, j'attends toujours. Alors, merci. Where's the chat here? Here. Perfect. Merci. Lancer une idée pour le stream en français. Pardon, j'ai pas les CD sur ce clavier. Bien. All right, so let's keep in English today. I will be making a stream in French. Yes, I will. Yes, I do. because I have thousands of followers from French-speaking countries. So it's very important to keep making videos and tutorials in French. And yes, I will be making streams in French, but hello. Y también porque tengo seguidores que hablan español, y de hecho como empecé el canal en español, tengo miles y miles de seguidores. Ok, ça c'est une bonne idée. Ok, Ouriou. On va... Ok, alors on va aller voir le collier de Ouriou. Collier de Ouriou. Bleach avec. La croix là? Lequel? Celui-là, je l'ai déjà fait. Le 6. Le 6, je l'ai déjà fait. Bueno, es que mi español es mi segundo idioma. Mi primer idioma es el francés. Mi segundo idioma es el español. Gracias. Ah, mi mamá es mexicana. Todo el mundo sabe que mi mamá es mexicana. Y lo más chistoso es que con mi mamá hablo francés. Porque mi mamá estudió en Francia, en París, conoció a mi papá. Se fueron a Suiza, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces, hmm. Bon, quoique Bleach, c'est pas une mauvaise idée, mais il faudrait juste trouver une pièce un peu plus intéressante. Bon, la croix, celle-là, elle est pas trop mal, mais c'est pas assez compliqué. C'est pas assez intéressant. Bien, on va chercher des idées. Sigamos con... Let's continue with the sculpting here. Pues gracias por mi español. Pues ojalá sea bueno porque ya llevo, bueno, uno porque sí es uno de mis idiomas natales. Realmente mi primer idioma sí es el francés. Fui la mayoría, en español fui, en México fui a la escuela un año cuando yo tenía 4 años. Pues sí fui al kinder en México un año. Entonces, bueno, el español ya era parte de mi vida desde niño. Pero realmente todos mis, pues digamos, cuando vas creciendo, el idioma de tu juventud, digamos, yo lo considero más importante que es el de la infancia. Yo creo que el idioma que hablas de adolescente es tu primer idioma. Y ese idioma para mí fue el francés. Entonces, porque también toda la música que escuchas, bueno, sí, mucha música que escuchaba pues era música francesa y, y eso obviamente pues te forja mucho ideas, ¿no? Cuando eres adolescente sobre todo. Okay, but let's come back to the English stream today. And English is my third language, let's say, but well, or second, whatever. And in Switzerland, I learned a lot of German. I do speak German, but I can't make a live stream in German. I'm not, but it's because I never grew up really needing and using the German language for anything. Well, for anything, for business or for family or for any kind of So this is the ear of the bull. He has the ear, well, the ear there, but just passing. So this is the front. Let me erase this because the ear, this is funny because this is the front. So let me erase this part. Let me erase this part. This is the front first, but then behind the front, I have just a bit of the ear, and then I have the second horn on the back. And that's why 2.5 dimension is always harder than full 3D objects, like he was explaining at the beginning, because here I have the front of the bull here. Okay, so let's make this side, because you're going to have like this type of situation here. We have the ear. It's important to have the ear of the bull somewhere, and it's just passing here after the front of the head. We do have a very slight bit of an ear. And if I remove the ear, and also because I'm going to explain, I do have a reference image on, but this image, this is the reference. This is the only reference image I have from the client. So they want this bull, which is a totally flat bull with some lines, with some engravings. This is the reference image I have. It's the only reference material that I have, and it has to be good enough. So here you can see one horn, the second horn here, and this thing right there. This is the front, the top of the head. This is the eye. This is the nostrils, legs, forelegs, the tail. Okay, very basic parts of the bull. And this bit right there is an ear. And obviously there's the second ear here. It should be here, but obviously for aesthetical reasons, we don't have this ear, and that's a good decision. So the reference image is not helping at all because it's totally flat, okay? And they want this bull in 2.5 dimension. It's for a high relief. So like I was explaining, because that's why I think it's pretty interesting, it's harder than a traditional sculpt, because when you do a traditional 3D model, you have the entire ears, you have all the parts of the bull, they're present on the 3D model. But when you are creating a 2.5 dimensions model, you need to understand the different parts and make them flat somehow, but keep them 3D. Okay, so it's a lot of fun. It's very hard, obviously. And here, by example, this is the front of the nose. And in fact, we're not even going to see that. Well, in part, yes. And I always deliver more quality than expected to my clients. That's why my clients pay me very well. Because I always deliver more quality than expected. If I have the time, obviously, and if it's a good client. If it's just a regular client, I will do exactly what I'm paid for, and end of the story. But otherwise, if like this bull, by example, this request is, or the lion in general, are pretty interesting things to make. So it's interesting for me. I've done a lot of animals through the years, like a lot, and almost every animal I've modeled it flamingos, koalas, birds, elephants, lions, cats, dogs, spiders, butterflies. Yeah, I think I've fishes, many kind sharks, goldfish, seahorses, horses. So in the animal, in the jewel and gold jewelry animal business, I've done my share pretty much already. So yeah, about the quality, like I was saying, if the project is interesting, or if it's something that I've already done somehow, because I've already modeled bulls earlier or a couple of times, so I'm pretty acquainted. I'm used to modeling bulls or cows. So what I want to do is make a better bull, a better work than last time, not for the same client, for another client. So, because obviously, if I would do it the same, I would do it quicker, because I already modeled things like this. So I could do it easy, but because I'm not paid per the hour, I'm paid per model. And this is a very good client. For this client, I've done hundreds and hundreds of models, and they're nice people. So I take all that into account. Okay, this is the mouth here. So obviously, the thing that is challenging in a 2.5 dimensions model is the expression. Okay, it's trying to be pretty nice. I like the muscles. So like I said, don't expect the muscles to be biologically accurate at all. This client wants something impressive, something very nice to look at, to make the client proud. And this is the case. The client told me, I want this bull to be impressive. They don't want it to be accurate. So as long as the muscles give the impression of strength, that's exactly what I'm aiming at. So that's why also I was interested in making this stream, because it's always interesting in comparing, in seeing somebody work with a very specific job goal, because this is the job. This is the parameter of this job, of this model. So I do have some creative saying here, and that's a lot of fun, because they're really asking me, do your best to create an original bull based on the reference image, and do something nice, do something to make us proud. We want a proud, strong bull. Okay, so well, basically we're almost there, and I'm liking the style already. So the style of this bull is already achieved, which is basically very good news for me, because it means that my job is done. Now it's just a matter of time. Now from here, it's just a matter of time till I complete all the details. But it's much more relaxing now, and that's a very nice way to spend the Saturday morning, afternoon, or to begin it Saturday afternoon. Here in Mexico City, it's 12:30 p.m. So it's just a bit past midday. It's the beginning of the afternoon here. But obviously later I want to relax, and I'm going to see a friend later for a live stream on his channel. Okay, now the eye. Okay, so what we need to achieve here are the horns. Obviously, the amount of volume is something that I still need to work on a lot. Let's make this horn stand out. All right. Clip it. Let's take it out here. So obviously I don't want to work the entire Saturday because, yes, generally I don't really care what day it is, but also I try to have some rhythm and a lot of discipline to not be working all the time. So I train a lot, but I can't train all day also. I can't go to the gym all day. It's not good. You shouldn't go to the gym more than 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day, maybe. And also because I'm training at home, and because since the pandemic, I quit going to the gym, but luckily I'm very used to training at home. But you can't train all day, and you shouldn't work all day and every day. You shouldn't work every day. And actually, for people my age, they say that we should be working 4 days a week, and that's exactly what I do. So obviously, I must be very efficient at my job because I work generally between 20 and 30 hours a week. And I have a lot of expenses to cover. So I need to be very efficient at my job. Very efficient. So the funny part when you age is that you have to work less because physically you need to rest more. We're not that young anymore. You need to make more money because you have more life expenses. And that's that can very easily be a problem because you need to make more money and work less. So obviously you need to work clever. Don't work hard, work clever. So, and also the problem is that you should train when you're young. I spent my entire childhood with computers. So technology is very friendly to me. I can adapt very quick to new technologies, use them in my favor very quickly, and adapt new tools and use them in my favor very quickly. And that's thanks to the fact that I was used to technology when I was very young. So generally people that are successful, you could ask like Steven Spielberg Steven Spielberg was using cameras since he was a child. So obviously when you grow up and you're still doing the same than when you were a kid, well, it's the same child play than when you were a kid because you were doing this as a child and now it's your job. So obviously many people discover their talent much later, and there are many different life stories about talent. So it's not necessarily a must, but by example, it's my case. I was doing a lot of 3D since I was a child. When I was in high school, I was already saying that I wanted it to be my, well, to be my job, but life is funny. And first I became a painter, then I became a jeweler, and then thanks to jewelry, I became a 3D modeler, and now I really make a living from 3D models, 3D modeling, also teaching, but now I mostly retired from teaching. Mostly, I still teach private classes online, Blender 3D modeling, but my main job is modeling. Oh, I'm loving this ball now. The eye and the nose, that are the most characteristic parts of the expression of the bull, are solved. When you make a 3D sculpt, you need to solve very specific parts of the look. That's something you need to learn. That's something you do learn. By example, in this bull, I can do almost anything with the legs and the body. That won't matter much. If the expression of the eye and the nose are not accurate, everything is going to fail. And that's very specific to this design. That's something you learn. You need to learn how to recognize the very specific elements of your subject. You need to know what matters and what doesn't. All right. So, okay, that's pretty good. Now I still need, okay, what we're going to do is the, all right, here, there. So like I said, now it's just a matter of time until I complete all the details. Nonetheless, sculpting is very demanding. That's why there are not that many people doing this, and also in a very specific field, because you need to be a jeweler first, then you need to be good at sculpting, and then you need to be good at 3D sculpting. So you need a lot of different areas of training. Most of them are not very fun. Most of them are very technical. They're very boring, and they're very demanding. So there are not that many people doing these type of sculpts. And then you need to be fast, because there is like an amount that the market is going to pay you, and they don't care who you are. They just care if you do it cheap and fast. Well, basically cheap. If you're faster or not, that's not the client's problem. But then also, yes, because if you're not fast, like before, I used to be able to do these kind of sculpts in about a week or 2 weeks maybe. Now I can do a sculpt like this in 1 hour. In 1 hour, so, or 2 hours. Well, depends. But here, like I said, because I want a very high quality model, because it's a very good client of mine, I'm taking my time to develop this model to a specific level of details, and I'm taking my time. So that's why also I'm making a live stream, because on this model I can take my time, and I can make it full quality, and really take care of every detail, because it's a very good client, and because I do have the time and all the elements, all the good reasons to make this model stand out more than other models. So the speed. Here I'm taking my time, but it's not always the case. Some clients don't pay very well, and they want it for the same day, or let's say maybe the next day. So obviously, a couple of years ago, I've been doing sculpting like this for maybe 7 years now, but obviously I only started to make this really as an everyday job like 3 years ago. So at the beginning, you need to say yes to everything. You need to say, yes, I can do this for tonight. And that's when you discover your real speed capacity. Are you capable of modeling a perfect 3D model for 3D printing in a couple of hours? So at the beginning, you're going to say, yes, obviously I'm capable of that. But then when the stress kicks in, that's when the fun kicks in also. Because the stress, you must be able to model something perfectly under stress and fast, and to deliver. So obviously at the beginning, you were going to say yes to everything. You were going to say, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do that. And then you're going to have the problem that what problems can you have when sculpting? It seems so easy. What's the problem? Let me explain the problem. What can happen? You've never modeled a bull before, and you know that you must achieve a certain expression. You know, this male aggressivity, the pride of the bull. You need that expression. That's what the client wants. So the problem is that when you're doing it for the first time, you're not going to achieve the expressivity, that specific mood that the client wants, that you know that the client wants, or because your intuition, or because the client told you, I want that aggressivity in the bull, in the 3D model. So what's going to happen? You already said, yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it for today, but you're not going to achieve it. You're not going to achieve that expression. And what you have to do is you need to erase and try again, erase and try again, erase and try again, maybe 20 times, 50 times, 100 times if necessary. And the time is going to start going away. So also your money, obviously, because the slower you are, the less you get for your money, the less, because let's say, well, obviously it's not true, but let's say they're paying you $5 to model this bull. If you can do it in 5 minutes, $5 for 5 minutes of work, that's pretty good. And that's pretty good. It means you can do like a $50 or $60 per hour. It's pretty okay. But the problem is if that they're paying you $5 to make this bull and it's taking you 5 days and they're paying you $5, then it's not worth it anymore, because you can't be working on more than one model you have to model this bull before starting something else, or you should, because also you need some discipline as a professional. So I guess you get the problem. The speed, the efficiency you have, the time it takes you to model something is crucial when you're a professional. It's obvious, but it's not that obvious at the beginning. And obviously you are going to lose. You need to know that you are going to lose some time. So you need to know to take defeat. Defeat in what sense? In the sense that you're getting paid not enough to do some model, some type of design. You won't get paid enough. And while making the design, you will be aware of that, and you're going to tell yourself, I'm not getting paid enough to do this. This is way harder than I expected to be. And that's your mistake. That's not the client mistake. And the model is taking you a lot more time than expected, and things are more challenging than expected. And you must have the patience and perseverance to finish the model, even if you're not getting paid enough, but because you thought things would be easier than expected. And that's how you learn. So if you think you're never going to get that kind of mistake, well, it means that you're not a professional and never was, and you need still a lot of training. You are going to fail in some aspects, and you will have to learn the perseverance and the patience to keep doing this and not give up, because people do give up. But the problem is that when you're too far in, you can't give up, and you must be very perseverant at your job, even if you made a mistake. And you can't blame anybody else but you. You can't blame the software. Well, and then everybody starts blaming the software, blaming the client, etc., etc. Obviously, you could tell the client that you made a mistake and tell him that you need more money. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it works. And you could tell the client that you made a mistake, that the project is harder than expected, and try to explain him why, and that it's not your fault, that you're good enough. Well, you shouldn't feel, well, obviously, yes, you should feel motivated, and yes, you should feel anxiety, because the stress is an important chemical enhancer. You need to be good under pressure, and you need to fail a lot. The more, actually, there's a very famous saying that the more you fail at something, the better you get. An expert is somebody who has failed everything possible in a specific field. And I think that is very true. Actually, I know that most of my life experience is that I have failed so many times at so many things in so many ways that when you look back, you say, oh, okay, that what made me so strong or so knowledgeable, and also so sure of what I'm doing now. Some people used to mistake my assurance for too much bragging. And it's not. And I know that also many people now know that it's experience. They know that it's experience, and it's not bragging. I have failed many times, a million times, to many different things. I guess maybe because I was always very curious and adventurous in nature. That's part of me, of my character, for good and for bad, obviously. And from a very young age, I tried many things, and I was saying, I can do that myself, I can do that. And obviously, I failed miserably many times. But as the years go by, suddenly you find yourself under pressure, under a lot of pressure, and then you understand, oh, this is what it was for. Obviously, it would have been nice to know early on that everything was going to be worth it, because it would have avoided a lot of, yeah, because yes, failing is suffering. Honestly, yes, you can't get good at something without suffering. And it's funny how many people would like to be good at something without the suffering. They think that the teacher or the master is here to avoid the suffering to the student. That's not true. It's not that the teacher should cause suffering to the student. That's wrong also. But the master is not here to prevent the student from suffering. And I think that nowadays they are asking, I've been asked to do that. You know, you as a great teacher or master, you should avoid me the suffering. Well, I tried, but I know and that I tried that also, and I also know that that's very bad. That's not the way. That's why I love the Mandalorian, the series, because they always say this is the way. And yes, this is the way. Suffering is the best teacher. So if you're good at something right away and everything comes to you easily right away, something is about to go wrong very bad sometimes somewhere. Yeah, you can be sure of that. That's how life goes. So generally, you shouldn't be worried if things go bad, because that's the way. Okay, so this, now the leg, that here. Okay, this is too straight, I guess. Yes, indeed. Here needs, and here a bit more of curve. So in this sculpt, I started making the details right away. That's something you wouldn't do in another project. You should start with the main shapes and things like that. But this design is a type of speed sculpt. It is it's a type of speed sculpt because I just have a couple of hours. Actually, I'm almost reaching the, I don't know, just 1 hour 24 minutes. That's great. It means I still have like 30 minutes to complete this sculpt. It's not too bad. Very great, because it's pretty advanced already. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Yeah, but you shouldn't focus on the failures also. You should focus on your curiosity and your challenge to get something done. That should be the first motivation uh, for anything is I want to do this right. So then it doesn't matter if you fail because you're not seeing the failure. You're just saying, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And basically, so all you're seeing is that I'm doing this, I'm doing this. No matter what it takes, I'm doing this. And then time won't, you won't see time fly by. You're going to be at this maybe for 24 hours straight. But then suddenly, I should eat something. Maybe I should sleep. maybe because you're going to forget the rest of the world. Is really like when you're doing something because you want it that much. You must focus on that, and that's very important. Otherwise, I think it's too hard. Obviously, yeah, there's something I think that people are not trained enough in life at school is that the the ability of controlling your brain emotions, like frustration, like failure, like when people are not, well, when people are insulting you and things like that, and keep your calm and keep your core and keep your strength when things are bad, when people are bad to you, when things are not coming out. That's something you can learn because it's chemistry. It's also brain chemistry somehow. And I think that it depends a lot on your biology, but also because I think it's not good to be taking pills for everything. But some people need to, some people are lacking some chemicals to control their happiness. Basically, they don't have that much self-confidence. But more than self-confidence, it's the voices in your head. And the voice in your head, that's something that you can train. So, and I think sometimes it's good to not have too much people around you telling you what to do. That sometimes is the problem. You need to dominate, you need to train the voice in yourself. And that's part of learning to be able. And I think that even sometimes religions are misunderstood on that. I think religion and praying by example, I think is one of the great teachers of controlling the voices in your head by praying and controlling it in a positive way. Because when you're praying, you're asking positive things. And, well, obviously, there's the problem of believing. Do you believe in God? Is there a God there? Something. But you don't even have to believe in any specific God or have a specific religion. I think the intent of asking the universe to be nice to you, to be kind to you, is something that everybody does. Even people who say that, even atheists, I guess, somehow they pray for luck, or they pray for I don't know. But I think that somehow they do. Okay, now I need to correct, well, I need to do the 4 foot there. Let's make this foot, this foot is nothing. Let's make it come to existence. So I think that praying is a nice way, and I think it's badly and wrongly not presented like that. If churches would do it right, they would call that like a good way to strengthen your inner voice through praying, by example. And praying is very good in difficult moments, you know, and actually when there's a lot of stress, but you're capable of praying to any God you like, or to any universe you like, or force, or emotion, or vibe, or energy you like. But the mindset of praying is very efficient at controlling frustration and failure. And because let's remind that all the great people and prophets and philosophers like Gandhi, like Muhammad, like Jesus, like Buddha, they all stem from failure and fighting against external pressure and rejection and destruction. So they had to be very good at controlling their emotions and controlling their failure and controlling people who wanted to kill them. Basically, so when people are wanting to kill you, I guess that's a pretty good motivation at getting good, at being positive, because I guess there's not much worse than being menaced, well, to have your life threatened, but still have to accomplish something. Okay, so now I need to correct. So look at something here very important. Okay, let's say now I'm advanced at maybe, let's say 90%, maybe 85%. The funny thing here that you need to observe is that the tail, I started with the tail, and it's very easy to tell that I started with the tail because the style, if you look at the tail, it has more a style of like the lion, you know, but the rest of the body, and I liked it more, the rest of the body of the bull is cleaner, is a lot cleaner. So what I need to do now is work the tail in the same style. This is a styling mistake. This is a style mistake, styling mistake. So I need to erase what I've done earlier. And yes, this was a mistake. It is a style error because the tail has not the same treatment as the rest of the bull. Well, in this case, this bull. And I need to rework the tail. This is my job to understand and see clearly that this tail was not working with the rest of the bull. I must make it work, and this is my job. And this is why you need training, because you must be self-aware and self-aware, and have the kindness of character to admit, you must admit that this is not good. You must be your own honest judge and say this is good, this is not good. By example, the rest, you must be able to recognize that the face is very nice, the eye there, okay, the eye needs a bit more of volume and shaping, but basically the expression is what we want. All right, and you must be able to simply say this is good, this is very good, this is not good at all, etc., etc. To be self-aware and your own honest judge. If something is bad, you must be the first one to say that's bad, that's very bad, etc., etc. And that's something you train. So you must be able to say, this nose is good, the horns, they're pretty good. This leg, well, this leg is pretty good. I don't love it yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. And then I need to apply the gold material to have a good idea at the reflections, because you're going to see that when we apply a specific material as a reflective metallic material to a sculpt, it's going to look very different. And at first, you're very probably going to be very disappointed. If you're not used to seeing your object in gold, at first you won't even recognize it. So also now I'm sculpting, but I know that I am going to need some adaptation for the gold look, because this is jewelry. It's not a stone or a video game asset. It's not a stone sculpture. It's not a video game asset. This is a 3D bull for 3D printing and jewelry manufacturing. So it must look good in gold. It must look good in a highly polished, reflective mirror material as gold. So the look is going to change a lot. And when you're not trained as a jeweler, you're going to have a very hard time facing that very specific issue, that things are going to look very, 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 very much different when they have a highly polished material as gold. Okay, let's keep correcting this. All right, so let's keep erasing here and there. All right, so like I was saying, the tail was not working with the rest of the subject. Okay, we're going to change a bit the design. I need to make it work with the rest. This is not working just yet. All right, so let's keep the same perseverance and the same honest judgment on what we're doing here. Okay, this might work. So I need to test. Some different. Okay, I have an idea here. I'm going to do this. Well, let's see if it works. To stylize something is not always easy. Okay, so this side is not working. This side must be clean. Here. We need the cut right there, I guess. So don't forget to look at all the angles. That's why 2.5 sculpting is always so challenging, because many angles must work, but it's still a flat object, mostly. All right, now, okay, here, that's pretty great. Now, Now, this is too sharp. And we need more hairs. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to sculpt and groom. Well, this is grooming even if it's not a real hair. I need to groom the tail. I need to make the hairs of the tail look good. Okay, this is starting to be a bit better. All right. Yeah, so what I was mentioning earlier, even if it's not of the taste of many people, but I think that spirituality, any religion or not, should be part of your capacity to control and dominate your positive emotions and channel them by example to your work, and keep that positive perseverance working for you thanks to prayer. By example, it's an example. Maybe it doesn't work for you, but also if it doesn't work for you, you should ask yourself if, well, you should develop your spirituality as a tool also in your job. Because if frustration makes you fail too easily, then you do have also a professional problem. And that's why spirituality should be mentioned as a professional, well, in its professional aspect. Being or having a religion is not necessarily an obstacle, because many people see religion as an obstacle instead of finding peace of mind in their religion, in their beliefs, and not mentioning the fact that praying can be very good at fighting against anxiety in a very normal way. But in a sad way, talking about that is generally taboo, and religions are seen as bad things, as obstacles against being efficient at your work. Well, that's because people are not expressing what should be expressed about religion and what they are serving us also. And I'm not talking about any specific religion, but there was always that aspect. Okay, here I'm going to continue this. There was always a strengthening aspect of religion. And now the problem is that there's a weakening aspect, but because of the wrong handling of people in religions. But that's because of the people, it's not because of the belief. It's people inside the religions, any kind of religion has human problems of people cheating, people lying, people being criminals, abusing people, etc., etc. So but the problem is not the religion. The problem is the people. Bad people are going to be bad, no matter what. So, well, people don't. Well, just I'm just bringing that point because we're here to talk about professional tools, and one of the concerns by example, when sculpting is the anxiety, the frustration. And I mentioned, because yes, it should be mentioned, and because I know it's not mentioned enough, is that if you have strong spiritual beliefs and you pray, well, prayer has that function since always. For thousands of years, humanity have been praying in many flavors and shapes and ways and many reasons. Well, one of the goals of praying is removing frustration and anxiety, remove the fear of failing at something. Why not? And sadly, modern societies, they tend to only talk about, well, all the wrong aspects of religions, of spirituality, instead of mentioning the fact that religions, spirituality is always here to strengthen your mind. Do not let go at the first issue or first problem, big or small. And I'm bringing that to the side, to the fact that when sculpting, you might be scared of failing, and especially if it's your job, because if you fail, well, my job is 3D modeling. If I fail this model, I won't be able to eat next week. Okay, not at my level, not anymore, but let's say 15 years ago, it was true. If I would fail a job, I wouldn't have money to eat. Obviously, that makes you better at your job. Like I said, if everything comes to you nice and easy, I think you'll never be good at anything. Failure and pressure is the best teacher. All right. So the tail, I think the tail is corrected now. So where are we at? Where are we at? What's the rest? How's the rest doing? Okay. All right, maybe a bit up there. That's not well defined. Am I keeping this? Yeah, I think here I put some divisions that are not necessarily part of the design, but I kind of like, because this makes like the ribs, obviously the ribs are not up there, but it gives like the look of the ribs. So now what do I need to check? Because the model is generally done. I need some height. So some parts are properly modeled in shape, in the look, but the problem is that I need them to be higher because this client loves his models to be very thick, very high. And when I look at this model, it's general, okay, it's pretty good. Yeah, okay, it's pretty good. Then also I can expand it. I can check to expand it on the Z-axis to make it thicker. Okay, but I need to check all the parts. The front leg, okay, this part, that's pretty good. And now also I have to put it on the ring and make it in gold. Then I'll have, so I need to bend the model and present it on the ring. All right. How's this part doing? Okay, so for people who don't know, I sculpt my models in Blender. I sculpt, I model, and I sculpt. Sculpting in Blender has become something really interesting, really efficient at a professional level for many reasons. Okay, here we're going to lower this. Okay, we're going to go here. Like that. This should be lower. This should be higher. And well, it was a good occasion to mention things about what it's to be beginning at sculpting, and I mentioned that the fear you're going to have at the beginning might be very frustrating and that you are going to fail a lot, but you should not be scared at failing. And okay, we have this, we have that. How about that? Okay, so from what I see now, I think the model is pretty good. Pretty nice. So, like I said, it started from a displaced image. The reference image was, well, was this very flat bull generic image. That's the only reference the client gave me. It's already the stance of the bull, the expression of the bull in that image is really good. That's what the client liked. So the thing is that when I do that in 3D, I must be able to reproduce that expression. And I think it's a cheat. Let me work a bit just there on the horns. But that was the challenge. So like I said, sometimes you are going to fail those challenges. You won't get the expression right away, and it might take you a lot more time and effort to achieve a certain look, and especially when it's a commissioned. Because look, that's also important to mention. This is a commissioned work. It means that I need to achieve the copy of the expression of this 2D bull, 2D image. And the tools to make that, well, honestly, you should know that sculpting is mostly the only tool capable of attaining this expression of the bull. You could do mesh modeling and all of that, but sculpting is much faster than other techniques. So commission work are challenging because you need to get what the client wants. It's different when you're making creation work. When it's your own design, you can change the expression the way you like. And some people, what they do is that they only create and never make commissioned work because it's harder. You need to be technically more trained to make commission work. It's not that funny. There's a technical part to commission work that is very demanding. That's why we get paid. It's a contract with the client. The client is, I want this, can you make this? You will obviously say, yes, I can do that. The amount is that much, that's the contract. And the contract is that you need to achieve that what the client asks with the amount that you've been paid. So it's a challenge. And like I said, sometimes you are going to fail. And it's going to be very sad and very frustrating. All right, so now so like I said, I was using my Intuos Wacom Pro. It's absolutely needed. Okay, look at this. So now here we have the shadows and cavity. It looks pretty nice. The only thing I want to retouch, so I'm not disconnecting the tablet just yet. I was going to, but let's keep on they're just the top line. That's just for the image because the screenshot of this image is going to be great. So let's come here. I want this. Okay, let me check something. Yeah, that part I did not. Okay, this part I need to reinforce. Nice. Just the side, because like I said right at the beginning, this is a 2.5. That's how it's called. I'm not calling it like that. That's how these type of works are called. It's not a full 3D body object. It's a 2.5 volume sculpt. It's a 2.5 dimension sculpt. That's how they're called. There are other ways to say that. Haut relief. En français, c'est un haut relief. Alto relieve en español. Entonces, so in English also they are called high relief, but technically in English it's more called 2.5 sculpt, 2.5 dimension. And like I said, it's a bit harder than a full body. Well, it's very but yes, they're for good reasons. You should know that it's a bit harder than some other type of sculpts. You should avoid these type of sculpts when you're a beginner. You should do something flat. Start with something flat, or start with something completely 3D. And first work with something creative, not with a custom design commissioned work. Because like I said, commissioned work are very stressful because you need to achieve something very specific, something very precise, and the stress that you're going to get as a beginner on your, well, just imagine your first commission work. You should make it in a progressive fashion. Start with something creative where you as an artist can do whatever you like and you are going to get paid, something like that, where you have more freedom than in a commission work. Some commission work, you are going to have full creative freedom. It happens. It might be rarer, but it does happen. Or maybe also explain to the client that you're a beginner, so you need some freedom. So to lower the expectations, you should put realistic expectations depending your level. That's important. So obviously you need some communication skills, a certain character to be able to express things to the client and be progressive, go progressively. Have progressive expectations. Otherwise, you might, and that I'm talking about that because, well, as a teacher and all of that, I know very well if you don't have realistic expectations, you are going to get to a point where you are going to get so frustrated that you are going to quit. So, because this is my live stream, life. This is a live stream about sculpting and real life experience also, and doing this as a professional and doing this every day. You should know I'm talking about that because it happens. So if you don't follow a certain mentality or philosophy also, and that's why I talked about religions also, spirituality, because yes, you do need a certain mindset. This is not random. What I'm saying, what I'm talking about during my live stream is rarely random. It's based on real life experiences with hundreds and thousands of people. Because remember, I've been teaching for 18 years. And yes, I had thousands of students. So at least make my experience reach your ears and avoid mistakes that are totally avoidable. And one way of avoiding mistakes is by listening to people who have the experience. And even if there are things that you don't want to listen to, like I said, you need a mindset. You need a spiritual training to sustain the failures and to sustain the frustration. Okay, so yeah. Well, this is pretty nice. So we went from this on the left to this bull here on the right. Now, the difference is that I need to make this a solid. So now I am going to work with the mouse and I am going to work in Blender, but with the 3D mesh modeling. And we are going to make this. Yeah, it's pretty good. So now I've been here for 2 hours. So the sculpting was done in 2 hours. And now, well, basically I need to put the bull on the ring, but there's a small technical problem. Whoa, this is totally hollow. It's just a sheet. So I need to turn this bull into one solid object, but I have the floor. I need to remove it. So let's copy the model. And also let's do an analysis of statistics. How many faces I have here? 763,874 face count. Okay. It's very low, honestly. I was expecting more, but that's nice. But even this, I'm going to decimate this right away. Let's go at 0.15. It's going to take something like 20 to 30 seconds to make the decimation. But I'm going, okay, it's perfect. 100,000, that's pretty good. So let me take the keyboard, because obviously when I'm working with the tablet, the keyboard is a bit further away because I only use the shift and the control key. Okay, so now this is the bull. Let's call it the bull. Decimated solid. So now I'm going to make it solid. So let's make a local view. Let's go to edit mode. Okay, Alt Z, Alt A, B. Let's select the floor. I have the transparency. Okay, so the ground floor is like this. Let's erase it. Now let's select the bottom vertices somewhere here, SZ0 to level them. Now let's make an extrusion to give it some kind of thickness. Here I'm just coming out to look at the thickness, 461 millimeters. That's pretty good, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to keep it pretty close to here. And now I'm going to do, okay, something important here. These guys. Let's do an Alt A. Okay, so here in Blender, a couple of weeks ago, somebody went crazy on me on Twitter because I said that mesh editing in Blender is really better than before. It is. And this is how it goes. Okay, here and these guys there. M at center. I'm just adapting the mesh here and there. Okay, so I have a very specific ground floor here. Let me check the, okay, so 285. That's not enough thickness. Let me move 7, something like that, 350, that's a bit too much. Here. Okay, and now let's make an F. Okay, I won't get. So what I'm going to do, if I can't close the face, let's do an extrusion again. And let's make an M at center. This is one vertex. So now the problem I have here is that I need to have a look at if I can get rid of, no, I can't. So let me try to scale this here and scale it there and move it. It's not always easy to close the ground. Okay, the other option is that I'm not going to close it like this. I need to have, okay, I have some thickness. Let's go again. Okay, this closes only the side ones. Well, let me show you then another way, because basically, technically, I should be able to bring it on the ring. Now, about the size, I can make it bigger like this and a bit. Okay, it should be pretty good. Let's move it into the ring. Sometimes we don't even need to make this shell as a solid. I'm going to make it hollow and try to remesh the entire thing and test the solid side and prove that is a solid. All right, let's center this 0, 0. Okay, that's pretty good. Now let me test the center. Set origin to geometry. Okay, here 0. Okay, the other center was a bit better, so I'm not going to change the origin. Here. Now, this is decimated. I can save this. Now I need to bend this. So let's bring a cube to select it right here. This cube is called cube deformation bend. 90 degrees rotation on X. Simple deformation on the bowl. Simple deformation based on the cube. Deformation bend. I already had some others. And let's go on the Z-axis. Bend minus 68, I guess. That's more. Let's go here. Now, depending. Okay, I want the bowl to be wider. So let's go at 1.5 on the bowl. And let's make more bending here. Now that's too much. Let's go at 135 and let's go back. So as always, know when to go back. Top view. Okay, this is pretty nice. Ah, okay, this is the problem here. Now, I have some weird. Okay, that's something I need to correct. I have a strange outer wall. Let me. So here I need to. Ah, okay, this is weird. So let me correct this. This is unexpected, but well, it's always part of the fun of the live streams. Okay. I need to remove these these are external vertices all around. So obviously that's going to be time consuming, but if you're using Shift delete vertices, this happened because I had some vertices on different levels, and I just selected the floor, but this made an interference with some vertices there. This can happen, so you need to be able to make a very efficient mesh editing in Blender, and like I will keep saying, unless you're ignorant, Blender is very efficient at mesh editing. I know because I've made thousands of STL files in Blender, some with millions. Like we said the other day, I said the worst I got in Blender is 40 million faces. And yes, it tends to make the computer crash. But honestly, if you have a mesh with 40 million faces in Blender, is because you did something wrong. There's something wrong in some part of your process. So don't, it's okay, Blender could be better, and it will get better because they're working on it at handling the vertices. Yes, Blender can get better at that. But honestly, anyway, like I said earlier, if you're making mesh editing in Blender and you have something like 40 million faces on a mesh, it's your fault. It's because you're not good at optimizing, remeshing, decimating, and things like that. And that can be done very easily in Blender. So, like I said to that dude, get better, dude. Train more, learn more. You can get less than 1 million faces on almost any mesh in Blender. And Blender is slow, starting like at 5 million. And also it depends on your hardware. If Blender is too slow for you, well, dude, buy a better hardware. It's not Blender's fault there. Your computer is crappy. So yeah, I know that's something I said not in the kind way. We can't always buy a better computer, but it's also, you need to be honest on your side and use the proper tools to make specific things. All right, now let's select the ground floor again. I think it's clean now. So here I must be sure to make an SZ0, and also, because that's something I didn't check earlier when I make the extrusion, I must be very sure that all the vertices are on the last and ground floor. Okay, here, by example, we have a problem. There's a hole on the side. Here I need this face and correct that. Without this correction, I would fail again to make this a solid. So like I said, you need to learn where you can have some mistakes when editing a mesh, because most mistakes are always the same. All right, now extrusion on the z-axis. Here, check the thickness. Bit less here. I'm going to do it just like there, and now I should be able to close it. F. Ah, no, I can't. See, I can't. Why can I close it? Because I have these guys. So let me step back. No extrusion, because I don't want these vertices. That was another mistake. Extrusion on the z-axis. Here. Now let's do an F again. You need to be perseverant. Okay, we can't close it yet, but now why? F, F, F. Okay, he did it. Okay, but we have some holes again. Okay, so no extrusion for you yet. We need to find these holes or missing faces. All right. So here, come on, be precise with your vertices selection. F, side view. Okay, this vertex I don't like. It's almost, okay, this is better. Now, let's do it again. Let's move the menu bit to the right. Here, let's save. Don't forget the transparency, and we very probably still have some missing faces. So don't forget to remove these guys. Like here, what do we have? That's pretty good. Okay, extrusion on Z. Let me see. Are we missing some faces still? Can't see none now. F. F, I said. Okay. So we are getting almost a face, but we're not. We're not, because this kind of things, this is a problem here. So let's make the low view. Okay, this must go to the inside. Let's move this, what's that? Oh, sorry. Move this here. Okay, so like I said, I don't even need to close it. Let's bend it again. Let's open the menu to the left, right here. Let's go there. Bending. W, now gold. Bring the gold material to the bowl. Let's bring the floor panel. So now let's hide this and let's hide that. Camera view. Isometric. And let's have a look at the bowl, maybe from this angle. Okay, render preview. I'm going to change the floor. All right, this is pretty nice. Okay, this guy, I want to be smooth shading right here. Or even let's remove the remeshing. Okay, great. Alt A. I'm going to change the floor, the color of the floor. Let's bring this is super nice. Okay, so now what I'm going to show before I finish this completely is that the problem I have, like I said, this is just a shell, and actually it's coming out. Okay, so this is just a shell. But when you put a shell in a solid like this, I'm going to export this as an STL. So let's bring this as bool ring. This is a size 15.5. It's a huge ring. 15.5, you won't even find that on the ring size charts. 15.5. That's the size of the ring. Imagine the size of the finger. Okay, export only selected. Now let's go to NetFab. And okay, let me go back to render preview right here. Okay, the bool can be, let's make the bool, okay, wait a second, the bool can be, I'm going to, no, it's okay. I was going to make the bool thicker, but no, sorry. Okay, so this is my render preview image. So now the STL, let's have a look at the STL right there. Let's bring in the STL I know, but wait, it's going to fail anyway. Okay, the warning right there is no surprise at all. It's because the bull is totally hollow. Okay, I know that because I made the bull. So there's no doubt here. But let me import the STL directly in Blender before repairing it. Let's bring it here. Let's bring the bull STL. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. What is going to work or not is the fact that here I should be able to remesh. Yes. Okay. So the remesh is working. Let's remesh at 0.03 generally. That's going to be very heavy, but I'm going to make the decimate right there. And the remeshing on a hull plus solid object is going to make you a solid object. That's something that some people don't know, should know. So here we have 5 million vertices. I'm going to go at 0.15 so we don't get a too heavy STL. This is going to be like a 75 megabyte STL. Most businesses consider that 100 megabyte STL is the top limit. Okay, so here this is going to take 1 or 2 minutes. Like I said, at 5 million faces on most hardware, Blender is going to start to be slow, but not too slow. You should be able to handle up to, on this computer, I'm able to handle up to 40 millions without crashing Blender. Obviously, sometimes you might crash already at 15 millions. But actually, I did get more than that, and it worked. So it depends on what version of Blender you're using and on your hardware and on how the geometry of your mesh is built. That's that's basic knowledge. Even if it's not that basic, but it's basic knowledge. And okay, so here I'm decimating the resulting remeshed ring. All right. Let me pet my cats because my cats are with me. You know that I have 2 cats. Hello there. And this is pretty nice. So we're almost done. Okay, so we are at 1 million. Let me export the bool STL again over the same file here. So now I don't even have to apply the decimation. I'm just going to erase it because you can export your mesh with the modifiers. So Blender doesn't have to recalculate the decimation by example. So that's one thing that depends on your knowledge about Blender. You can export the STL with the modifiers without applying or recalculating the modifiers. I just saved myself 5 to 10 minutes of frustrating wait and useless waiting time. So now also here, let's check the STL. You're going to see that now the ring is completely repaired because it's remeshed, so there will be no warning. And this ring is completely solid. This is a complete solid ring. Ready for 3D printing. It has been sculpted in Blender and it's ready for my client. Okay, great. So let me take a screenshot And let me, okay, we have this right there. So this is done. This is ready. This is ready for 3D printing. So the only thing that I need, okay, so don't speak too early. I still need to check that it's indeed completely solid. So let me import the solid in Blender. Okay, so that's my STL file. All right. Here it is in Blender. It has been remeshed and decimated. Let me bring a cube. Let's make the cube. 50. Let's center the cube somewhere and let's go at -25. Let's take the ring. Let's make the Boolean fast difference from the cube. So this is something I need to do to prove to you, my dear channel and followers, it is completely solid. Okay, a round of applause, but also, like I always say, knowledge. Knowledge, training, and knowledge. Knowledge, training, training, and knowledge. What happened here? This is a solid ring by now. But if you've been following this entire stream, you know that my bull is just a shell. This is just a shell. So you don't even have to make, because I was struggling to make the bull. If you watch the stream, you know that I struggle. I can't make, here I can't make the face to close the solid bull. It was not possible, even if I corrected some missing faces, etc., etc. But like I said, sometimes you can close the face like this and make it solid, and sometimes you won't be able to do it no matter how good your mesh is. Maybe here, let me try merge by distance, 0 vertices. So I don't even have overlapping vertices. I can't close the underface to close the solid. And then I said, you know what? It's not even necessary. I know that because it has happened to me a million times, not once or twice, a million times. I know this issue is not an issue in Blender. It's a 3D software issue. It happens in any software. Knowledge and practice, it's all it takes. Then I proved that you can export the STL and make it a solid. You don't even need to close the shell. There are a couple of tricks. I showed them today. I won't show them again. Believe me, that's real knowledge. That's something that requires research, thinking. You need to think. Many people think that you can't make an STL from a shell, a solid. Well, you can transform a shell into a solid. Just need a couple of modifiers. Anyway, this is the end of the stream. Today I sculpted this very nice bull for a ring and made the STL for 3D printing for this ring, and I made this very simple render in gold. Here we are. So this is for the client, and like I said, this is a commission work. It's already paid, obviously, because commission work must be paid beforehand. Obviously, you should know that. And thanks for joining the stream. I hope you liked it. Again, thanks for becoming members. Thanks for buying my assets on the Blender market. And well, take care, have a nice day, and see you soon.